Hello, warriors. Welcome to the U Movement. I am B. I wanted to hop on today and talk a little bit about sacred rage and honorable hatred. Two terms that don't normally go together like that. We often view rage and hatred as terrible. We judge them as terrible emotions to have. And I think that's because the examples that we see in society are toxic expressions of natural emotions. Anger management issues is when somebody can't control their anger and it explodes out in less than desirable ways. That repressed rage escapes in bursts like a volcanic eruption because we haven't been taught how to channel it effectively. But when we take the time to sit in that energy, and that's what the new moon has been bringing up for me, is sitting in those feelings, and they're not pleasant. They're not something I would enjoy sitting in. But if I don't sit in them and take from them the lessons that they bring me, then they become repressed, and that's the last thing I want, is to go through life with inappropriate, toxic releases at inopportune times of what is natural expressions of rage and natural expressions of hatred. Because it is through those emotions that change happens, and it's through the repression of those that stagnation and abuse and tolerating the intolerable happens. And you can look at that from both your own personal life of situations that you have tolerated that maybe you should have been like, no, I'm out of here, this is terrible, whether it be job situations or relationships with friends, family, anyone. When faced with toxic or abusive or non-resonant energy, the natural expression of our beingness is to get enraged and then, run away. If a threat was coming at you in some kind in natural kingdom, a lion would give out a mighty roar to as a warning of hey, fuck off. But in society, humanity has repressed our emotions so much that we don't stand in that empowered energy of rage and hatred. Hatred is a positive emotion as well, because hatred says that misogyny, I hate that, I'm not tolerating that, or racism, that is something I hate, I'm not tolerating that, and different social injustices is homophobia and things like that. I hate all those energies. And I'm not talking about hating individual people. I'm talking about hating the energy that they're coming at, because it's threatening to some. And if it's threatening to some, it's threatening to the whole. And so it's through hating something that even Gandhi, who's known as, one of the most peaceful men on the planet, it was through righteous rage that he stood up against something that was not acceptable to him. The same can be said for Martin Luther King. He took his hatred and turned it into a productive force, a positive movement. And so if we deny those things that we are angry about or enraged with, what we cultivate then is an energy of tolerance and tolerating things that shouldn't be tolerated. So anger and the expression of anger needs to be realized and needs to be sat in and needs to be action oriented of steps that you can take in a positive way. So I kind of look at the energies of anger as kind of like nuclear power. Nuclear power, when used correctly, can give an entire city electricity. Used incorrectly, it can cause a meltdown and be poisonous. So anything has the capacity to be utilized well, or utilized for danger. But if we don't recognize it for both potentialities and harness it well, that's when we get ourselves into trouble. And so the more we just look at things as being the potential for the negative, the shadow side of it, and say that's bad, and not understand the light attributes. And I often talk about the shadow and light of all things. And so rage, what I'm going to call like a righteous rage or a sacred rage, has a light as well as a shadow attribute. A shadow attribute is, getting into war and taking it to that extreme. Whereas a light attribute is, peaceful protest and saying, this isn't acceptable, or using the appropriate channels to make effective changes, not only in your own life, but in the world around us. And, we're coming into this age of Aquarius, and there's a lot of anger and frustration collectively because we have been for so many years told that anger and rage we shouldn't do. And so then we tolerate things in our own lives. I tolerated 15 years of abuse. And as a citizen of a country, there's a lot of policies that perhaps I tolerate as well, because you kind of are left in this, well, what can I do about it? How can I make actual change? How can I stand up against oppression, or stand up against unfair treatment, or stand up against something? And so we're seeing in the last 10 or so years lots of positive movements that are bringing about positive change through an expression of hatred and anger and rage. For example, the Me Too movement. And I'm a Me Too'er, and I was silenced. I was raped as a teenager and as an adult, and women particularly are told over and over again through society that we'll be judged if we express our anger or our rage about situation. Well, what were you wearing? What were you doing? This, that, or the other. And Me Too movement brought to light that, this is a righteous anger. This is a rightful expression of no more. We're not tolerating this bullshit no more. We're this fuckboy culture of going one step too far and date rape and taking advantage of people is a no more. And then there's the Black Lives Matter movement. Well, now I'm not black, but I fully support the movement because they're enraged. Enough is enough. This can't continue. all the violence against women, against races, against cultures, against people, for things that it's time. It is time that we have an expression of anger and say, I'm not taking that shit no more. Whatever that shit is for you, if it's personal or if it's collective, we need to find positive expressions of our anger, of our justifiable anger and hatred of energies that aren't tolerable anymore. And I'm hoping the You movement will empower people as a means not only of self-expression and releasing all the repressed emotions, because the more we feel the feels and release the traumas that are associated with those feels that we have been depressing and repressing all of our lives, the more people will become empowered. So we're shifting out of a disempowered, apathetic energy of there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can change. This is my life and it sucks. And I'm just depressed, despondent, and I'm going to take antidepressants for it. Into an expression of grief and release of the tears and the fears, and then moving up into the anger, into the hatred, into those energies, and expressing them, taking the time to sit in them and feel them, as opposed to just, okay, I'm feeling anger, I'm going to just, attack somebody for not serving you McDonald's fast enough, or road rage, or, all these other just blurting out expressions. Cultivate a practice of being in that energy so that you can understand what that energy is trying to communicate to you, and understand what the message is that lies underneath. What is it in your life that this anger is saying, hey, it's time to let go of, it's time to stand up for, it's time to speak truth about. That's what the anger is trying to communicate. So the more we try to repress it and not listen to what our own emotions are trying to communicate, because we have been indoctrinated to believe that these emotions are bad, these are undesirable, these are shadow characteristics. But if you keep it in the shadows, it will continue to control your life in inappropriate ways. If you bring it to light and sit in it and accept it for what it is and for its value, then it can be utilized for something powerful. What are we going to choose? You always have a choice. Are you going to choose to let something stay in shadow and bounce out? It's kind of like, I don't know if you've heard of the book, The Shadow Effect. It's also a video. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it or watched it. If you are dealing with emotions that bubble to the surface at inappropriate times. And they use the descriptor or the metaphor of holding beach balls underneath the water. And the more beach balls, our hatred, our anger, our rage, our mad, our grief, our this, that we hold under the water, they bounce up inappropriately. So you'll be, out for dinner with your boss and the waiter will drop water on you. And because you have all this rage that you're trying to hold underneath of a situation that happened at home or 15 years ago, you turn around and you go, what, you fucking idiot, And then your boss looks at you like, I don't want you working for my company if you have this type of anger problem. So you see, if we take the time to sit in that anger, us getting water dropped on us, we'd be like, oh, hey, it's okay. I understand. You're having a bad day. It was an accident. Don't worry about it, because you don't have anything that you're trying to repress. The more we repress, the more we deny, the more we resist, it will persist. And it will persist in toxic ways. So I wanted to hop on and just do a little bit of a shout out for that. I did a little poem over there on Facebook today about my righteous rage, my sacred rage and understanding that this energy is there. It was there all along, but I repressed it because it was warning me, this situation that you're in, you need to get out of, you need to escape from, you need to save yourself. And so now I'm finally able to like sit in the energy and I'm just sitting in a park, allowing that energy to flow through me, allowing the feeling to be there, and say it's okay to be angry. It's okay to hate what they did to me. It's okay to feel these feelings, because the feeling of these feelings is what's going to protect you. It's going to allow you to make wise decisions about your own safety, your own security, your own well-being. If we deny what is, we are living in la la land. So today I'm giving all of you out there that are feeling a need to express some anger and some hatred, and to tell you that you're still lovable, you're still deservable, you're still wonderful, even if you're having these undesirable emotions, and just allow yourself to have these emotions. Find ways to express these emotions, whether it be through journal work, whether it be through going for a run, whether it be through listening to the Prophets of Rage. Unfuck the World is a fantastic song to listen to, and do some boxing or go to the gym, or something that allows you to feel it, to say it's okay to feel this way. It is okay to feel this way. As a collective, it's time for us to feel the rage and say, no, the way things aren't acceptable anymore. So I'd love to hear some comments and feedback on your opinions on this, and drop some in the comments if you want. Thank you very much for all your likes, your shares, and your subscriptions. It really means the world to me. And this journey that I find myself on is a fascinating one for me myself to even observe, because as I'm going through this healing process and allowing and giving permission to others to allow and feel and heal, it feels like there's a purpose. It feels like there's a reason behind all of the suffering and all of the terrible things that happened. It's like, okay, these terrible things happened, but now I'm able to alchemize it into a way by helping others. So it gives me a greater sense of mission and a greater sense of understanding why these things had to happen. Because I sit in parks beside trees and pray and have conversations with God and all the time, and like, why? What is this for? Who am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to bring to the world? And what I'm supposed to bring is my truth, and learning from my own experience, so that you can also feel the feels and make the changes. If you need some help, feel free to get in touch with me. The way to do that is in the description below, although I've been told there's some issues with my email. So if you can't get me through email, please feel free to find me on Facebook. My handle is Be Freedom. Otherwise, the U Movement is on Instagram, TikTok, and I'm also on Telegram. But I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the labels and I need a technical assistant. I keep praying for that one. Maybe God will help me out with that. So that said, sending all of you my utmost love. Peace out.